Starting on our bottoms in our comfortable seated position, closing our eyes, taking a few big deep breaths in through our nose, out through our mouths. Begin to set an intention for our practice. Inhale, bring in good energy. And then we'll exhale, letting go of tension, of expectations, of judgment. We'll seal our lips, inhale and exhale through our nose. And then we'll inhale, lift the hands up to the sky, reaching the fingers, opening up the wide, wide hands, dropping the shoulders away from our ears, and activating into our core in our belly so we're not arching in any weird ways to put any stress on our low back. Reaching with our fingers, lengthening from the top of our head, rooting into our sitting bones. And then exhale, we'll just tip ourselves over to the right. We'll lower that right hand down to our mats, reaching up and over with the left. Keep lengthening even in these inside ribs here. And then inhale, bringing those hands back up to the sky. And exhale over to the left. And inhaling up. And then exhale, let's turn to the right, little spinal twist. Hands can come down. Lengthen on the inhales. Deepen that twist on the exhales. One more inhale. And exhale. And then we'll come back to the center, bringing the hands up high. And then exhaling them over to the left. One more inhale. And staying for that exhale. And then back to the center. Good. From here, let's bring those hands down to the mat in front of us. And just gradually fold forward. So inhale, we'll lengthen. Exhale, just creepy crawl those fingers forward. And hold. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, creepy crawl. And fold. Do one more inhale. Sink our chest a little bit lower. And then we'll slowly walk our way back up to the top. Inhale, hands come up high. And now this time, exhale, we'll reach and we'll get into that forward fold maybe a little bit quicker, but just as gently. Good. And now we'll walk those fingers forward. We'll roll over our shins, coming up onto our hands and our knees. From here, hands are underneath of our shoulders, knees are under our hips, and we'll just make little circles around and around in our hips. We'll go 3 or 4, maybe 5 in one direction. And then when we're ready, we'll go around the other way. And then we'll find our tabletop again, and we'll work into our wrists. So we do little circles around our shoulders, getting those wrists. We'll go around one way, around the other way. And then we'll turn our hands so that our fingers are pointing towards us, pressing the heel or the palm of our hand in towards the mat. And then again, we can roll around in little circles. These circles will probably be a lot smaller. We'll go both directions. And then when we're done twirling around, we can begin to lift the palms up off of the mat and stretch the fingers. And we'll lift those hands all the way up off of our mats. We can shake them out. Knees come together. Feet are soft underneath of our butts, and we'll sit on our heels here. And to tuck our tail just a little bit, tilting that pelvis so that it's nice and level. We can sit on those heels just a little bit, open up the feet. We can begin to lift one knee up off of the ground to get the top of that foot a little bit more. Now we can get the other side. Good. If we would like, we can try getting both at the same time. And lower down. Good. Nice tall spine here. We'll bring the hands back behind us by our toes here. Fingers are pointing towards the top of our mats, pulling the shoulders back, lifting the chest, opening up that heart, lengthening in the spine. When we're ready, begin to lift the hips up off of our heels in reverse camel, or into like a little baby camel, I guess, not reverse camel. That would be tabletop. And then lower that butt down. And lift the hands up off of the ground. And we'll come forward into a child's pose. One more breath here in child's pose. And then inhale, we'll come back up. Bring those hands back behind us. Pull the shoulders back and down. Lift the hips. And lower them down. And we can come forward again. Child's pose around the back. Soften the shoulders. Good. And from here, we'll just come up to our tabletop again. Inhale, lift up the left hand to the sky. And now exhale, we'll just thread the needle. Bring that left arm underneath the right. Little twist here. And then we'll unwind. And we'll lift up the right hand when we're ready. And then exhale, thread it through. And unwinding back to our tabletop. Good. From here, we'll tuck those toes underneath of our feet. We'll bring our our hips back over those heels, and we'll come up to a nice tall posture as we stretch out those feet, the toes, the ankles. And then we'll gently come back down. Hands come out in front of us, and we'll walk those hands out just a little bit further than our shoulders. We'll reach the right foot back behind us. And then we'll bend the knee, stepping forward into lizard pose here. Little lunge. Foot is to the outside of the right pinky. We can soften that left foot. And then bringing our gaze forward. From here, we'll keep that left hand on the floor, lifting up the right. Little twist. And back down. And then we'll step back to our child's pose. Inhale, let's come up to a little plank. Exhale, we'll lower ourselves down to our tummies. Hands are underneath of our shoulders. From here, we'll pull the shoulders back all the way down towards our buns. We'll scoop the chest forward, and then using those back muscles, lifting the chest up off of the floor for baby cobra. Exhaling, chest comes back down, pressing into those hands. Let's come all the way back to our child's pose. Good. As our shoulders come up on our inhale, we'll bring that left foot forward into our lizard. Pressing into our palms, making sure our shoulders are strong. Back is long. Breathing into our tummy. Good. And then lifting the left hand, little spinal twist. And then exhaling, we'll come back down. We'll step back to our child's pose. And then flow through our half series as we come up on our inhale. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale to our little cobra. And then we'll press back for our child's pose. Arms are out in front of us. Hips are low. Good, and we'll tuck those toes underneath of our butts. Pressing into our toes and into our fingers. Breathing into that belly, activating the core. Let's lift up the hips for downward facing dog. Lengthening in the spine. Pressing into those hands, pulling the shoulders back, lifting the tail, bending the knees. And then we can pedal the feet. Good, and we'll lift that right leg up to the sky. We'll step forward into a full lunge this time. Foot is in between our hands. Long leg back behind us, bending that front knee. Good, and now we'll lower that left knee back behind us into our half lunge. Inhale, hands come up high, hips sink down, little crescent lunge here. And then exhale, hands come back down. We'll tuck that left toe again, and we'll come up for a high lunge. Exhale, let's take that right hand back, left hand forward, little twist. And then inhale back up. Exhale, hands come back down to our mats. Stepping back, downward facing dog. Inhale, let's come forward into a plank. Plank can be on our toes now, or we can lower our knees. That's completely fine. Exhale, chest will go forward, elbows go back as we lower ourselves down. We can come up into a cobra or all the way into upward facing dog. Tuck those toes, lift the hips, press back, downward facing dog. Lifting up that left leg. Let's bring it forward for our lunge. Once that's set, let's lower the right leg back down. Inhale, crescent lunge. And then exhale, hands come back down. We'll tuck the toe behind us, find that balance, come up for a high lunge. And then exhale, twisting to the left. And inhaling back up. And hands come down, stepping back, downward facing dog. Inhaling forward to our plank. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Let's lift up that right leg. Reach it back behind us. Good. And stepping forward into our lunge here. Softening the left knee down to the mat for a half lunge. Good. Inhale, crescent lunge. Good. And now let's bring those hands to our hearts, pressing into our palms, pulling the shoulders back. I'm going to turn a little bit. Keeping those hips moving forward, lengthening in that spine. Let's take this left elbow all the way around to the right knee for a little twist. And then we'll slowly unwind, hands come down to the mat. And with this right leg, we're going to step all the way back. nice and long, keeping that left knee bent, and we're going to open up for a modified side plank. Reaching that right hand up to the sky, opening the shoulders, stacking them one on top of the other. Lifting our ribs up to the sky. Good. And then we'll turn, both hands find the mat. We'll step back with that left foot, find our downward facing dog. Again, lifting the right leg. Good. We're going to bring that knee into our chest. Shift forward so that we are in a plank with our knee into our chest. And then we'll press back again to a three-legged dog. Good. Again, bringing that knee in, shifting forward, and pressing back. And this is going to be a goofy little stretch, but I really love it. We're going to bring that knee into our chest. We're going to shift and turn our hips to the left. We're going to stick that right leg all the way out to the left. Our shoulders are still going to face our mat. So hopefully we'll feel a little something in our outer right hip. Good. And then we'll slowly come back to our three-legged dog. One more time, let's bring that right knee into our chest, shift forward, and we'll set ourselves up for pigeon this time. Our knee will go to the behind our right wrist. Left foot softens behind us. Hips are even and level. We take a couple of breaths here. Let those hips acclimate. And then when we're ready, we can, if we would like, walk those hands forward. We can come down to our elbows. Take a pit stop here. Or we can go all the way down into a fold. Let's stay here for 2 more breaths. And then we'll help ourselves up onto our hands if we are not already there. We'll tuck that left toe back behind us and then press into the hands, stepping back with the right foot. Pedal our feet, waggle our tails. Wiggle it out a little bit. Finding that downward facing dog. Let's inhale, come forward. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Tuck the toes, press back to our down dog. And then lift up the left leg, reaching it long back behind us. And we'll step forward into our lunge. We'll soften the right knee behind us for a half lunge. And we'll come up for crescent. Bring those hands to our hearts. Press into the palms, lift the heart. Inhale here, and then on our exhale, we'll take that right elbow around to the left knee. Use the press in our palms to help open up those shoulders. One more breath. And then hands will come back down. We'll keep this right knee bent. We'll step back with the left nice and long. We'll open up to the left for a modified side plank here. Lifting the ribs up to the sky, reaching with those fingers, pressing into our right hand. Good. And then we'll begin to lower that left hand back down, tucking the right toe or the left toe, stepping back with the right, finding our downward facing dog. And then again, lifting that left leg, bringing the knee into our chest, shifting forward into our plank. And then exhaling back to our three-legged dog. Inhaling, coming forward. And exhaling back. This time, as we inhale forward, we'll hover here and we'll turn our hips to the right. Kick that leg out long beside us. And then bring that knee back into our chest, back to our three-legged dog. And then coming forward one last time, setting ourselves up for pigeon. Left knee behind the left wrist, flexing the foot in front of us, softening the foot behind us. Taking our time. I don't like to rush pigeon. It's one of those poses that takes some time to settle into. And once I'm there, I don't really want to leave. Stay here for 2 more breaths. And then we'll help ourselves back up onto our hands, pressing into those fingers, tucking the right toes. We'll step back, downward facing dog. Give ourselves a little wiggle waggle. Good. And now in our downward facing dog, nice long back. Hips are high. Let's lift those heels up to the sky, keeping that slide form in our back. Lifting up onto our tippy toes, and then let's swish those heels over to one side. Pressing into both hands continuously, opening up the side body a little bit. And then inhale back up to our tippy toes. And then swishing those feet over to the other side. And then back up to our tippy toes, downward facing dog. And now inhale, let's come forward to our plank. Exhale, we'll go all the way down to our tummies, releasing our toes, softening the feet behind us. And then we'll bring our arms into our goal post, cactus arms. We can rest our head onto our mats. Take a breath or two here. And now we'll keep this left hand and shoulder moving in toward the mat. And we're just going to turn, lifting that right leg and kicking back behind us as if we want to touch the floor behind. And then this right hand can come onto our mats as well to kind of help open up those shoulders a little bit. We'll get a little something in our left shoulder, and depending on the angles and stuff we do with our right leg, we might be able to get something in the front of our right hip, a little twist in the spine. This is definitely a multitasking pose. And then we'll come back to the center. Take a breath. Wiggle it out a little bit with your tail if you'd like. And then we'll move on over to the second side. So right arm will stay. We'll think about keeping that right shoulder moving down toward the mat. We'll lift the left leg and begin to reach it back behind us toward the right. And then this left hand, we can use it to open up those shoulders a little bit. If that's too much, we back off. It's totally fine. Good. And then we'll unwind. Give ourselves a little shimmy back behind us. And then we'll give our shoulders a bit of a rest. We can even bring them down to our sides here if we would like, or they can come up underneath of our heads, little pillow. And now from here, keeping both hips level as best we can. We're going to open up that left leg to the side, bending the knee and keeping it about even with the hip if we can. Our toes are going to probably point out away from us. Find ourselves in half frog here. Two more big breaths. And then we'll slowly begin to lengthen that left leg. Bring it back down to meet its partner. We can give ourselves a little shimmy if we'd like. And then over to the other side, opening up that right hip out to the side. Knee comes out to the side, toes point away from us. Thinking about that breath moving down into our hips. 2 more breaths. We'll begin to lengthen that right leg. Bring it back down. Give ourselves a bit of a wiggle. And then we'll bring our hands underneath of our shoulders. We'll press back to a child's pose. Bring those knees out wide, or we can keep them close together depending on what we would like to feel in this pose. Let's swoosh our feet over to one side. Lower our butts down. Lift our chests. Come up to seated. Legs come out in front of us. We'll roll up into our little ball. We'll rock back onto our backs. Bringing those knees into our chest. Hold on with both hands to our right shin, hugging it tightly into our body. Left leg comes up to the sky. Reaching with that left heel, and then exhale, we'll lower it all the way down to our mat. And then we'll release that right leg and we'll guide it across our body into a spinal twist here. Our left hand can continue to touch gently to that right knee. Help guide it continually over toward the floor if we would like, but we're not forcing it there. We're not pushing. Just like the weight of our arm, encouraging it. Right arm is soft. And then we'll release that back to the center. Both knees come into our chest. Both hands come to our left shin, hugging it tightly into our body. Right leg reaches up to the sky and then slowly lowers down to the earth. And then we'll release that left leg. guide it across our body for our spinal twist on the other side here. Unwind. We'll bring both knees into our chest, rolled up into our little egg one more time. A big deep inhale here. And then exhaling, we'll release everything for our Shavasana. Hands can come out to our sides, or they can come to our belly or our heart. We close our eyes. We soften our jaw. We take these next couple of breaths to give ourselves permission to just be still and quiet for a few minutes. We deepen our breath. And we'll wiggle our fingers and our toes. Politely bring awareness back into our bodies. When we're ready, we'll bring our knees into our chest. We'll roll over onto one side and help ourselves up to a comfortable seated position. Our eyes are closed and our bodies are soft and refreshed. And we inhale, lifting our hands up to the sky and bringing them together at the top. And exhaling them down to our hearts with a purpose. I'm so thankful that you joined me today, allowed me to help you through your practice. I hope that you feel even just a smidge better than you started. Remember, even tiny improvements are improvements. I wish you all a very, very happy day, great rest of your week, and I wish you an open heart and an open mind. The light and the divine in me recognizes and respects the light and the divine in each of you, and when we are together, whether physically or virtually, we are one. Namaste.